Hey there, pals. Welcome back to another episode of the Pullbox Pals. I am your host, Mad, and Monk had to take this week off, but he'll be back next week. And we have a special episode today. We have Jon Dexter, who has written a few comics that you may have seen on Kickstarter, and we'll get into those. But, Jon, you want to say hey and introduce yourself?
Hey, how's it going? My name's Jon Dexter, as you said. My Kickstarter for Dime Store Detective issue 1 through 3 launched today at 11:30 EST, and it's doing pretty good. We're about a quarter of the way there right now, so hopefully things will keep going pretty steady. It's always a very stressful time when you launch a Kickstarter, as anybody who's done it before can tell you.
Yeah, no, we've had a few guys that we've chatted with that have been doing some Kickstarter stuff, and it sounds like it's a lot of work, but it also
Yeah,
seems like it's worth it. So
yeah, it is. It's a great payoff. It's your dream. Whatever it is. Mine, of course, is creating comic books for people to see and putting my best work out there. And so far, it's been going pretty good. This is my 7th Kickstarter, the 3rd for Dime Store Detective, and I've done 4 for Alpha Dogs, my other comic book, kind of my flagship comic book, as it were. And
yeah,
so yeah, it's done pretty well. So hopefully it'll keep on going. People have seemed to really enjoy that. Uh, the two different, very original stories that I do. My comic book Alpha Dogs is about this dog who is on the run with his owner and this older, kind of grumpier pit bull from mercenaries that are attempting to kidnap them to manipulate their powers. They can heal from any wound. They're smart enough to understand human speech, and they have a heightened
yeah,
strength. And
yeah. No, I got to read that one today, and I really enjoyed it. And I was curious, where did the idea for Alpha Dogs come from?
so, really, the genesis was a friend of mine who knew I was a big comic guy. I'd written a comic book a long time ago that I sold, I think, 3 copies of 7 years earlier. I was more in the screenwriting forte. And he said, I called me up and said, I was watching the Westminster Dog Show. You should write a comic book about dogs with superpowers. And I thought, man, that is the dumbest idea I ever heard. But I humored him. I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. But I was watching Lost at the time, reruns of Lost, about
Yeah,
6, 7 years ago. And I loved that stories within a story. This big story with mine, it's how the dogs got their powers, that mystery. And then we have the individual dog stories, which was originally what I was going to do. And then it just changed, as anything else, and I I decided I wanted to focus on the main dog, which was Buck, who was inspired by my
yeah,
own dog, who was a pit bull mix. We had lived in a town that outlawed pit bulls, so we had the choice to move or get rid of the dog. So of course we moved, and that
yeah,
kind of gave me the idea for my main character, this dog that's feared by the public because of his breed and his size, being a pit bull, but he's got a great heart. So that was the first character, and that was the focal point of the story. And then I brought in the other dogs to kind of be some comic relief as the story goes along, and kind of fit into all these different, really original stories with these dogs. But yeah, I'm really proud of Alpha Dogs. Like I said, issue 4 just came out. Well, I just started shipping issue 4, and people have really loved it. It's with any kind of story, of course, with a screenwriting background, the first couple issues are building to a pretty cool climax, as with Diamond Sword
yeah.
Detective. So, um,
Yeah, no, in Alpha Dog issue 1, I think you did a great job of just kind of laying out just the premise, and I don't know, I really liked how it kind of ended kind of on a quick note, right after what's the villain? His name's Salem.
Salem, yeah,
Yeah, where he's just like, yeah, I'm good and I have what I need, and and so just to kind of fill people in, but Salem kind of came into this family that Buck is a part of, or like came to their house, and his motive was to take Buck and what was the other dog's name?
Cyrus,
Cyrus, yeah, to get like a blood sampling because they're super powered dogs.
yeah.
And and so you can kind of you kind of get that cliffhanger of like, oh no, he got what he needed.
Yeah.
What terrible thing is he gonna do next? And so yeah, if you already have 4 issues out, is there gonna be more, or is it a 4 issue arc?
No, well, the first arc is 4 issues. So we end. So at the beginning of the story, we find Buck seemingly dead on the beach, shot up. Um, and throughout the rest of the series is a flashback, and then at the very end of issue 4, we find out how he ended up there. And seemingly
Ah,
dead on the beach for all the dog lovers, he can heal from any wound, so he heals
yeah.
instantly. And that's I wanted. I love those kind of stories that you start out at the very last possible moment, and we
Mhm.
kind of then tell the story. So it's a great device, I think, and I think I used it pretty good with this.
Yeah, no, I think it was a great intro, kind of having the ending as the intro of and leaving readers wondering, okay, how do we get to this point? And obviously, you got to read all 4 issues to get
Yeah.
there. But I'm definitely on board for Alpha Dogs. What is the best way for people wondering to get a hold of copies of Alpha Dogs?
Well, right now, by supporting Dime Store Detective, there's a
Yeah.
tier of Dime Store Detective where you can get all my comics, all 4 issues of Alpha Dogs, and all 3 issues of Dime Store Detective. And if I can't recall, I think there is a tier where you can get all 4 issues or add-on during Dime Store Detective. So if, like, say you wanted just issue 3 of Dime Store Detective, but you wanted all 4 issues of Alpha Dogs, you can do that. It's an add-on. And
Oh,
actually, it's
right
a
on.
cheaper way to go because you see what people have learned is you can get like issues 1 through 3 of Dime Store Detective for $8 shipping, or you get issue 1 of Dime Store Detective for, let's say, $6 shipping, and add on the other issues. So it's
Yeah.
it's kind of a smart thing to do for people. Whatever, I don't care. I'm just happy somebody is supporting my work. So um,
Yeah.
with Dime Store Detective, that's only an 8 issue series. Alpha Dogs will go on. I think I have it ended about issue 50. It's five
Oh,
volumes.
wow.
Yeah, I'm sort of Alpha Dogs. I wrote it all out. I was sick for a while, and I wrote it all out in a very long synopsis. So Alpha Dogs is 5 volumes, about 50 issues. Where Dime Store Detective is only going to be 8 issues. There's an ending there. So
Oh, right on. Um, wow, that's amazing that you have it. So you've said 50 issues or
yeah,
15?
I'm thinking. Yeah. That's about it. Hopefully, I'm hoping I'm gonna try to get a publisher pretty soon so I can push them out a lot faster than what I'm doing, or it's gonna be a long time before I can get this story told. So
Yeah. But yeah, like, and then another thing too with Alpha Dogs is Buck is a very lovable dog. And
yeah, yeah,
you said he's based on your own dog.
yeah. Our piggy, who actually passed March 22nd of this year.
I'm sorry to
We
hear
had him
that.
for we had him for almost 14 years. So he lived a long life. And at the very end of issue 4 is a tribute page to him. Because he passed during the production of Alpha Dogs 4. So there's a nice tribute to him at the end of issue 4. My hope, my dream is that Alpha Dogs can continue and kind of be a legacy for him. The way
Yeah.
I'm not to put myself anywhere near this kind of, legendary status, but like a Pooh, a Lassie
Yeah.
or a Winnie the Pooh or something like that. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm anywhere near that, but it is a great story. People do seem to love it. So
Yeah. And then also just like I actually got in a conversation with my barber today about pit bulls because she had also moved from a state where pits were outlawed.
yeah,
And it's such like a bummer of a stigma against pit bulls because
yeah,
they are just like the sweetest dogs. They're great family pets, but they just yeah, so much happened over, the last couple decades with them in the news and just having dog fights and whatnot. And they're
yeah.
really not as vicious as like they've been
No,
portrayed to us.
I'm gonna show you my new puppy that's sitting. This is our pit bull. This is our mean old pit bull right here. That's sleeping
Oh,
next to my leg. She's a straight up killer.
Oh wow,
Yeah, she's
looks like a sweetheart.
yeah, oh she is. She's a pup. We actually, funny story, we had got Pig about 14 years ago from a guy selling them in a Walmart parking lot, selling pits. Of course, he said they were French bulldogs.
Yeah,
uh, but he was a pit mix, and when he passed, Pig, 3 weeks later, my wife was at Walmart on her day off, and here's some guy selling pit bull mixes, which she said they were boxers
yeah,
mixes in a
yeah.
Walmart parking lot. So it kind of felt like it was maybe meant to be, and maybe Pig brought her to us. I like to think so. She's been a great dog, and she's a pit mix too, and she's very lovable, just like him. She'll be an alpha dog eventually, I'm sure.
Right on. Um, well, before we get into Dime Store Detective, I want to spend a little time just chatting with you about like your history and love of comics.
Yeah.
Like when did you like first get into comics? Like was it
Uh,
at like a pretty young age?
Not too young. I mean, I like any kid. I like Spider Man and Friends, the little cartoon. I'm a child of the '80s, a teen of the '90s. So, like any kid, I was kind of into Spider Man a lot. But it was really 1993 when X-Men cartoon came out that I became obsessed with
Yeah.
comics, with the X-Men, with Wolverine in particularly. Surprise, surprise, Wolverine kicked the
Yeah.
X-Men down.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so that was when I really just became obsessed with it. I was taking my paper route money and getting back issues of X. But anything with Wolverine and Sabretooth, I was on. I was on board,
Nice.
I became a big X, just obsessed with X-Men and I think X-Men is cartoon, the Fox cartoon is kind of like the generation Star Wars, when you
Oh,
just something
absolutely.
that you've never seen before. We've never seen uh, car- comic book characters in such a serious tone, kind of like how
Yeah.
Star Wars. So those are my two biggest influences, which is kind of obvious if you see my Kickstarter comics, because issue 3 and 4 are both Star Wars poster homages, and of course, in issue 3 of Alpha Dogs is a homage to Hulk 181, the first appearance of Wolverine. So
And I love that. I love that about a lot of Kickstarter projects that pay tribute to the comics that kind of paved the road.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and even just anything. We had some guys on a few weeks ago, and their comic is called Outer Space, and like the whole premise of it is kind of based on loosely on like the movie Stripes,
okay,
and also like kind of mix that with a lot of like your Dazed and Confused like stoner movies.
yeah,
But it was just like there's just so much tribute in the story itself to those things that have come before, that just made it really enjoyable and gives you that feeling of nostalgia as you read it. And going back to Buck, Buck's abilities are, yes, he can heal. He can self heal, just like Wolverine. And uh yeah, like reading that about Buck was just like, oh man, we got like a Wolverine dog here, this is great.
yeah. Well, with a great thing about a person or a dog that can heal from anyone, you could shoot them, beat them up, and stuff, and they just heal. You can do whatever you want with them. So that was really what I loved about it. Is doing that was he gets
Oh,
shot, of course, the very beginning, and then he's just fine.
um
Okay, can you hear me now?
yeah, no, I had my daughter come in to ask me a question, so
Oh,
um
well, my wife came in to get in the truck, so it all worked out.
I see you guys are moving now.
Yeah, yeah.
um so yeah, X-Men got you into it. So do you collect any X-Men comics?
No, I'm kind of got burned out when Onslaught. If you remember Onslaught from the '90s, that kind of burned me out. And now I buy a lot of Image comics now, and I do support other people's Kickstarter comics too. So um, I am reading. Oh, I'm heavily into Ed Brubaker. Of course,
Oh
if
my
you're reading Down
gosh,
for Detective, you can see the Brubaker fanatic that
this
I am.
this is my favorite work from Brubaker.
I got to get that because I love westerns and I love Brubaker. I Yeah, he's my favorite right now, and I just got Wednesday. I got issue 2 of the Enfield game by Chris Condon, which is terrific.
Yeah.
And I tried that other Image comic called Kill Your Darlings. I don't know
Oh,
if you've heard of it.
how
It's really not all
I
that
have.
well known, but oh yeah. It was pretty good. I don't know if I'll go back for more, but it was good. Original.
Right on. Nice. Uh, so then I guess also since you brought up Image and then 1993, were you into any of the early Image comics,
No,
like
not
when
really. I
Spawn
was I was
launched?
I
And
was heavily into Marvel at the time.
yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, I'm kind of a big Image collector, and so I've been looking out for a lot of early Image stuff. Like none of it's like super like high tier in value or anything, but it's just cool to have those because they're a part of my childhood. And yeah, I just really enjoy owning, like saying that, like, yes, I do have I have an unread copy of Spawn One, and like it's important
Yeah.
to me. But some other
Yeah.
people are like, yeah, whatever.
Well, they made that. What was it like the number one? I mean, they made millions of those probably. So, but still,
Yeah,
it's a pretty awesome. Yeah, I was never really into Spawn Image back then. I mean, it's pretty awesome what they did. But yeah, no, I was heavily into X-Men in the '90s.
right on. Yeah, that
So
and like the other lesson that was learned too from like the overprinting of Spawn One, and there was an X-Men issue that was also like very overprinted around that time as well. Um, but like the lesson learned from that is comic publishers shouldn't overprint anything. And if things have that demand, you get to bring out another second printing with a new cover on it by another cover artist. And it just brings more attention to the artists. And I think that's just a much better way of doing it because, yeah, like Spawn One's like really cool. The only reason it has a pretty good chunk of cheddar attached to it for value. But it's not like really, really high. Um, but it's because yeah, I think it was like 1.3 million copies were printed. And the only thing that was printed more than that was this X-Men issue that I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, they just don't hold their value because there's so many out there. But like when there's less of something, it makes it more. So um
yeah, I think X-Men One that came out is the most printed, the highest selling one. Yeah, the one when they rebooted it with Jim Lee, Chris Claremont. I think that's the one
yeah.
that's the most. But
Um so do you have like a favorite arc from those X-Men days that you really enjoyed?
oh yeah, my favorite, which probably probably a lot of people's baby, is X-Men 1 through I think it's 5. It's when Magneto returns, and then we get on Omega Red. I love that. Back when there was mystery to Wolverine's origin, you know,
Yeah.
that Wolverine, Chris Claremont and Jim Lee. I mean, they were, to me, that's like the best duo. I mean, for me anyway. And I just love
Yeah.
the artwork, and I just love that backstory of Wolverine, and Omega Red just looks so awesome. So that's always been. I've reread that. I think it's 1 through 5 or 1 through 6 many times. Not recently, but I did back then.
Yeah. Um One more thing, going back to Alpha Dogs real quick. I forgot to ask you this, but your artist for that, was it Fernando Melick?
Yep, Fernando Malick.
Yeah.
They're from Stone Tower Studios. Um, Lucas Sharita is the project manager, and oh god, Lucas is the colorist. I can't recall his last name now, but yeah, they've done the Alpha Dogs comics. They're terrific. I just Stone Tower
Yeah.
Studios. We did a cold call on Facebook. Look, writers looking for artists, and they were the best. And it's been a great relationship ever since. They're doing Dime Store Detective as well. Not the same
Yeah.
artist, but the same colorist.
Was it Lucas or Oriuda?
Yep, yeah.
Yeah.
Lucas Torrieta. Yep, he's great. I mean, just I mean, as you can see from the artwork. And the nice thing is Dime Store Detective, the artwork, the coloring has that very much that noir feel, that pulp feel that I wanted.
Yeah.
They did such a great job with it.
Yeah, no, that was one of my favorite things about Dime Store Detective was actually, they always say the colorist kind of provides the tone or just the soundtrack of the issue, and yeah, I loved the bounce back between past and present, and the past was just drawn out. It was just like inks, essentially, just black and white. But when you got into like the present day and Lucas's colors were just just super on point and really did give it that noir feel, and you felt like you were in a detective story.
Yeah, I think so. They I told them what I wanted, and they, as usual, just exceeded those expectations. I love the old, not so much reading them, but I just love the artwork of the old pulp, the detective novels. I mean, it's called Dime Store Detective for a reason. I wanted to kind of like that,
Yeah,
that pulp fiction, that title, that cool throwback title. And so I love it. Of course I wrote it, but I'm really
yeah,
excited about what the future holds for the series. It's 8 issues. I wrote them all. Boy, I wrote them all in a span of like 3 weeks. I was so busting out to get the comics made that people are really going to love it. The first 4 issues of Dime Store really kind of set up. I mean, there's a lot of good payoffs and great story, but the first 4 issues are really setting up, and then the last 4 issues are a lot of payoffs. I'm trying not to give anything away, so
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
but yeah,
It-
it's a terrific series. It's got a lot of familiar stories to it, but still, it's a very original. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, which is somewhat limited, it's one of the very only supernatural slash noir stories you're going to find. I can't think of one that's got a noir, hard boiled fiction story, but also it's a supernatural story. So I'm not saying I
yeah,
invented the genre, but I can't think of any like it off the top of my head.
yeah. But yeah, no, the cover for issue one is fantastic. The story was excellent. I think I've read it at least 5 times.
Okay, cool.
Um,
Well, if you like
because
issue one is a lot of setup. So if you like issue one, you're really going to love issue two and even more issue three, where um, the real investigation begins, and then the supernatural being arrives, returns, I should say. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's fun. And the trailer, I don't know if you could watch I don't know if you can put the trailer on here for the issue 2 and 3 or not, but definitely people should check out the trailers. Trailers are great. I'm really proud of them. I write the scripts, and the guy that puts the trailers together just goes above and beyond what I could hope for.
Yeah, let's see. I think I can at least pull up here the Kickstarter page. Yeah, there we go. Oops. There we go. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is issue one for Dime Store Detective.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, this is just a Kickstarter with the story and everything in it. But yeah, this cover is amazing. It's really it really catches the eye.
Yeah.
Um
Well, if you like issue
and
one cover, you should definitely check out issue 2 and 3, because honestly, the covers really are even better. It really was a step up from. Can you get on the issue 3? Because I launched today at 11:30 for issue 3. I don't
mm,
know how much of a lag it's going to be, but yeah, if you could check out the Kickstarter for that one, that it's live, that'd be cool.
yeah. Um but yeah, so Dime Store Detective though. So this follows Donald McKinder, right?
Actually, it's Donald Mackinder. People call him McKinder.
Mac
Everybody calls him McKinder, but it's actually Donald Mackinder. And the reason for the name is actually
Mackinder.
twofold. Probably most watchers don't know this, but back in the 40s and the 30s, mostly the 40s, instead of saying bro or dude, they would say Mac. Hey, Mac. And
Mm,
if you watch the old movies, that's so Mackinder's nickname is Mac. And that's a throwback to the 1940s, the Humphrey Bogart, the James Cagney's movies, and also a guy that graduated from my high school named Troy Mackinder. It's kind of a tribute to him. He was a great guy, super nice. He was a homecoming king. He was an actor. He actually had a bit part in Scooby Doo movie. If anybody remembers that movie, he was one of the faces that came out. He wanted to be a Hollywood actor. Terrific guy. Anyway, I was just a little freshman nobody, and he treated me like I was, best friend. And he did that with everybody. He was just a terrific guy. And he unfortunately passed back in 2018 of cancer. So
Oh,
it's kind of a tribute to him, plus the throwback to the old 1940s movies, detective movies.
so that's where like the inspiration for Dime Store Detectives comes from, is just that relationship that you kind of.
No, that's just the name Mackinder.
Oh,
The
okay.
Dexter Detective was written many years ago. Oh God, many years ago. But I only had half a story. I had this. I only had half a story, and then about a year ago, I was listening to a podcast about the Dixie Mafia. And the Dixie Mafia, to those who aren't familiar with it, if you think of the New York Mafia, but of the Dirty South, then you get the
Yeah.
Dixie Mafia. It's have you ever seen the movie Walking Tall with The Rock?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that was a remake of a movie back in the '80s, which was a true story. Walking Tall is a true story about this
Huh.
sheriff Buford T. Pusser, who is takes on the Dixie Mafia, and they kill his wife. They try to kill him, shot him all to hell. They were drug runners. They were hitmen. They were bad dudes. Well, this kid, his dad was a hitman for the Dixie Mafia, and it doesn't matter the not hundreds, but dozens of people his dad killed. His dad was a god to him, and
Hmm.
that was kind of the impetus of Dime Store Detective. That really kind of gave it the heart. This kid that believes in his father, even though he's in Dime Store Detective, supposedly a murderer, a terrible person, he is a moonshiner. Um,
Yeah.
it, to the son, he's dad. He's just a great guy. And I wanted to have that relationship between father and son, and the son's belief in his father to really drive the heart of the story. And I believe I've done that. And once you read,
No, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
That was
it's
definitely something I picked up on, just with, yeah, the back and forth between past and present. And, you do feel like you're getting to know, do we call him Donnie? Is that, or just, they call him Mac. That's right. The other
well, yeah.
detectives.
His friends call him Mac. His people that don't like him call him
Yeah.
Donald, and his dad calls him Donald because it's his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but most people call him Mac or Mac in the story. But there's a great scene in issue 3 that they're both standing next to each other shaving, and Donald's 8 years old, and his dad is playing along with him shaving, and it's a great poignant scene in issue 3, um, and then we get, of course, the other stuff that comes along, as you can see from the trailer, the strange cult that
Yeah.
I don't want to get too much away, but that comes into play. So there's a lot going on with Dime Store Detective, but it's a pretty seamless story, and I think people are really going to love it. They've the small amount of people that have read it have really enjoyed it. It's
Oh, I think I might be losing you. Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Your
I
screen's frozen
picking
up.
up.
um,
Oh shoot.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, with Donnie, he, I don't know, you kind of feel, you can really feel his emotion in the past scenes with his dad, and that he does look at his dad as a hero. And, as a kid, like, your dad has a job. You don't really know what that's going to mean to society and culture. And, and there is a bit of irony that he grows up to be a detective. But still, like, I think I said in my review of it on Instagram that, like, you do just kind of feel like that heartfelt relationship between father and son. Like he's passing on words of wisdom and lessons on to Don, and he's still taking those to heart as he's trying to solve a murder from a serial killer, and also find out this connection to his past that has to do with his dad, I assume.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, that you're hitting on it. But yeah, that's basically how it's going to work. It's tough to talk too much about the story without giving too much away, but yeah, there's definitely a lot there from his what people are going to say about his dad. You know, as we open up with his dad and his uncle being known as yeah.
Oh. There you go. Yeah. But yeah, so if you guys have not checked that out, I actually do have one other friend who has read through Dime Store Detective, and he really enjoyed it, and I think he wants to continue on it as well, and him and I will continue to chat about it. But yeah, so you can find that over on Kickstarter. And let's anybody watching, if you want to support Jon in this, we got a link down in the description for the show, as well as his contacts for Instagram and Twitter. Well, Jon, do you have any more you want to share about Dime Store or Alpha Dogs?
Yeah, go check out the Kickstarter. It's a great series, and there's a great trailer. You can catch up on some of the trailers, and the price isn't too bad. Relatively cheap for a Kickstarter. It's 28 pages for both the comics. So,
right on. Yeah, and I'll see if I can post the trailers for those later today. But yeah, I know you're on you have another interview you got to get to, so I don't want to hold you up too much. But yeah, I just want to say thank you. Yeah, I just want to say thank you for coming on. I always appreciate creators coming on and just sharing their story and just about their comics and what they mean to them. I've really appreciated your writing so far. I definitely want to check out the rest of Alpha Dogs and Dime Store Detective. Do you have anything else that you were working on?
isn't that enough? Yeah, it is. Yeah, these two are time consuming getting these promoted.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, and a lot of people have enjoyed it. The few people that have been able to see them. But thanks for having me on the show. That it helps a lot to get the word about the comic books.
Absolutely. Well, cool. You have any recommendations on reading going forward for things that you're reading?
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm reading the Enfield Game Massacre, which is really great, and
yeah.
And what other? I was going to get back into Saga again. I haven't. It's there's.
Okay. Oh. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, we lost you there for a second, but yeah, you're getting into Saga.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to get back in. I bought the omnibus. I had actually bought the first 5 issues when they first came out. I think I sold them for like $50, and I'm kicking myself now because they're worth so much money now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I might get back into Saga. But right now, I'm reading the Enfield Gang and like I said, Kill Your Darlings, which is pretty good. I probably will back in and supporting other people's Kickstarters like myself, because it kind of takes a village, to sort of speak, to kind of support other people's Kickstarters, getting their dreams out in print, because it's definitely tough for indie creators, especially on Kickstarter now, because there's so many comic books at Kickstarter right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That's another thing too, though, that I do love about the comic community is just creators and just readers trying to support each other as much as they can. A lot of people I know that are doing Kickstarters, they are also just buying other Kickstarters. They're supporting other Kickstarters, and they're not really reading anything else. And I think that's an amazing like community surrounded around Kickstarter. And I know there's other websites like Kickstarter that people get their comics going on. So, but cool. Well, yeah, John, again, we'll wrap this up. We typically like to say that we're riding this horse out of town because we always talk about horses at the end of this show for some reason. But yeah, thank you for coming on. Make sure everybody that you go follow Jon. Just keep up with what he's doing. Again, Alpha Dogs and Dime Store Detective are both great series to check out, and it's a fun way to support a creator so that they can keep creating. But yeah, Jon, good luck with your next interview, and good luck with your stories. I'll keep watching and following and reading along.
All right, thank you. I really appreciate the time.
All right. And yeah, everybody, we'll be back next week. Monk will be back, and we'll be back to our normal routine of talking about what we pulled during the week and the stories that we read over the week. And as we like to say, we haven't read comics like these in years. Oh.